Wow, and welcome back inside BT Talks Baseball. What a way to start. What an introduction. Thank you so much to Pete Alonso and the great Colin Cosell for that great introduction. Colin, the voice of Citi Field, and now I'm proud to say the voice of BT Talks Baseball, at least the intro voice of BT Talks Baseball. I'm so proud and so happy to be here right here on the 365 Sportscast Network. I opened by saying welcome back inside BT Talks Baseball, because as many of you know, the show originally started as a small little podcast from my basement back in March, and to have it grow to this, a live show every Sunday night on 365 Sportscast Network is just so amazing. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm going to be with you every Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. I even have a producer now. Mike Capisi is with me. I keep Mike off of the camera if you're watching the video stream because, well, I told Mike it was because of social distancing. It's really because Mike is a little better looking than me, and I can't risk that. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. You don't need to worry about being on the camera.
No, you don't need to worry about being on the camera. I'm so proud also, as you have heard Colin Cosell mention, that I have a presenting sponsor for BT Talks Baseball, and I want to thank Jamie and John at 915 Construction and Design, home of Handyman Express, for having their faith and confidence in me. I'm so proud to have them as my presenting sponsor. All right, I think enough with the thank yous. It's time to talk some baseball. We have a great show for you tonight. Mets great Jon Matlack will join me, as will author John Shea and travel expert Glenn Haussman. But first, let's talk a little bit about baseball and talk about where we are in the grand scheme of things of free agency. Not a lot going on, actually. A couple of trades this week. You know, of course, Yu Darvish and Blake Snell acquired by San Diego. Darvish was shocked that he ended up in San Diego, and Blake Snell was stoked. So two very different reactions to that. But, the Padres, as always, trying to gear up and load up during the offseason. It has not really worked out for them in the past, and we'll see if that works out for them now. Also, the Washington Nationals get a little stronger in the National League East by acquiring Josh Bell. And we'll see what that does for them. They needed another power bat, and certainly Josh Bell, with what he's done with the Pirates in the past, is going to be that power bat that the Nationals solely covet. The Mets did sign James McCann, a catcher, a big upgrade for them, but I think everybody is waiting for the Mets to make their moves, right? Whether it's Trevor Bauer, whether it's George Springer, whether it's a trade for somebody like Francisco Lindor, the Mets and new owner Steve Cohen have set out this mantra, if you will, that they are open for business. So far, they have not done much, obviously, other than signing James McCann. We will wait and see what the Mets' next move is. But Met fans are anxiously awaiting. They're getting a little impatient, actually, aren't they?
Yeah, Met fans, with the Steve Cohen coming in, everyone wants everyone to make big moves now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the Mets are going to make some big moves. I really do think that they're going to be all in. Sources say that George Springer seems to be a good bet to be playing center field at Citi Field this year, and I think he would be a great fit at the top of the batting order. And I think Trevor Bauer also is a possibility. I mean, think of a rotation with DeGrom and Bauer and Syndergaard and Stroman. Wishful thinking right now, but Met fans are hoping. And for the Yankees, I think project number one is DJ LeMahieu. I don't think that they can afford not to re-sign LeMahieu. I think he's somebody that needs to be re-signed. He's so versatile. He's probably, if not the best player on that team. He certainly was the best situational player on that team last year. He could play so many different positions. And, they may be moving Gleyber Torres back to second base. We're going to have to wait and see about that. But the fact of the matter is that the Yankees, while they could certainly use starting pitching, because they're not very deep there. I think signing DJ LeMahieu is a very, very important move for them. And I don't think it's a move that Brian Cashman, quite frankly, can afford not to make. Because I think that Yankee fans very quickly have fallen in love with DJ LeMahieu, for lack of a better way to say it. And he is the type of player that's easy to fall in love with. He plays hard every day. He reminds me, and I hopefully this is not going to anger fans, but he reminds me of a more experienced, more seasoned Jeff McNeil. I think the Mets, are certainly can only hope that Jeff McNeil, grows into that type of a player. But right now, it's DJ LeMahieu for the Yankees, and I'm sorry, Mike Capisi. All of his good looks, he's distracting me with messages. But I think Yankees project number one, signing number one, has to be LeMahieu, and then Cashman has to go out and look for some starting pitching. And the rest of the National League East and American League East, if we're talking about Mets and Yankees, need to continue to build. The Braves certainly have a strong young team. The Nationals, as I said, got stronger with Bell, and the Phillies, not so much, but they do have Bryce Harper, and they have some key players, they have some key pitchers. So I think that the National League East should be very strong. The American League East, the Yankees, of course, always have Tampa to deal with, although Tampa probably not going to be a player this year. They got rid of Snell. They always seem to be retooling, and I think that they've retooled once too often. I think that team is not going to be very competitive. Toronto is certainly trying to make some moves, and they are in on the George Springer talk as well. So we will see. We will see what happens. My prediction is over the next couple of days, maybe right into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to start to see some action, some free agent signings, and I think once the first move is made, I think the dominoes will fall. And I think that the Met fans can relax and know that Steve Cohen not only is a billionaire owner, a multi-billionaire owner, but he's a Met fan. He's here for the long term, and he's ready to build a winning team. And I think Mets fans can ask for nothing more than that. All right, I think it's time to get to our first guest. I'm so excited to have this man back on the program. He's been with me in the past. He's the 1972 Rookie of the Year. He's a three-time All-Star. He was the co-most valuable player in the 1975 All-Star Game. And I'm so honored to have him back with me here on BT Talks Baseball. It's Jon Matlack. Jon, Happy New Year, and welcome back to BT Talks Baseball. Jon, it's always so great to talk baseball with you, but I wanted to start tonight by talking. You and I have not spoken in a couple of months, and certainly not since the passing of your longtime friend and teammate, Tom Seaver. And I was wondering if you could talk about the impact Tom had on your career early in your career. Certainly, he's the franchise. He is the one person. A lot of people, said if the Mets have a Mount Rushmore, then it might be four different faces of Tom Seaver. And the impact he had on the franchise is certainly well documented. You have told me a couple of funny stories about Tom, and I was hoping we could retell some of those today. And one of them was the day you made your Major League debut against the Cincinnati Reds. You pitched very well, and I believe you left the game with a lead after pitching 7 strong innings. And then, the franchise kind of got in the way. Can you talk more about that? I believe, I looked this up, I believe that was Tom's only blown save of his career. So I'm sure you were more than happy to be on the receiving end of that, right? Well, you certainly did more than survive. You went on to win the Rookie of the Year that year, and of course in '73 we're a part of the Mets team, and we're a big part of it that won that National League pennant. The other funny story I wanted to bring up was the 1975 All-Star Game, which was such a great night for you. You pitched very well. You've told me in the past you just happened to get in the game at the right time, but the fact is you pitched very well, and you ended up being the co-most valuable player in the game, sharing it with Bill Matlack, the MVP, the connection in 1975. But It almost wasn't to be at all, because thanks to a Tom Seaver pitch to Carl Yastrzemski, you almost had your life in danger, correct? Well, that certainly would not, that would have been a not as a happy ending as the one that ended up happening. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, John, you were such an underrated pitcher for the Mets, and I think, you know, people can almost understand that, and maybe you can as well. You were pitching in rotation with Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman, but as we said earlier, you certainly had your recognition. In '72, you were the Rookie of the Year. '73, you were a pennant winner, and you know, by all accounts, really, you know, should have been a World Series champion that year had not a few things gone the wrong way in the '73 World Series against Oakland. But a season for you that really doesn't get talked about that often is 1974. You won 13 games, you had a 2.41 ERA, and you led the majors with what is now an astounding 7 shutouts. I mean, 7 shutouts. Teams don't have anywhere close to 7 shutouts this year. But I believe that year has gotten even more respectable for you because of some of the newfangled stats, and I don't even know if you pay attention to this, but you led the league that year in WAR, wins above replacement, and in situational wins saved, both of which stats that didn't exist at the time, but you led the National League, and it was also the first of 3 straight seasons that you made the National League All-Star team. Can you talk a little bit about 1974 and what that meant to you?
Season where I gave up less than 3 runs and got beat by a run. This guy had just gotten a base hit in this situation, and there's a whole lot more wins that could have happened. They just didn't, and at the time I didn't particularly worry